Joder!
Hi there, my name's Guy. You're watching Midwinter. Okay, let's get started. Let's cover the things you'll need for a basic miniature painting setup. You want a nice flat surface to use as a painting area, either on it. Tools for somebody in your really useful. To wipe you're gonna need some from an army. Right, so you've got all the bits you need. Let's start building your model. Most of the time, Warhammer models come on these plastic frames. These are called sprues. Now each model is made of several parts. If your sprue has several miniatures on it, and is a part of a squad of similar models, sometimes parts are interchangeable, meaning you can choose whatever arms or legs or...
¿Esto es igual? Pará, cabezón, ¿esto es igual? A ver, porque yo... Puede ser que me haya flipado y pensar que era fácil. ¿Puedes creer que esto es igual de difícil? La concha de mi madre. La concha de mi madre. La concha de mi madre, mirá. La puta madre, vos. La puta madre, me hubiera armado un Lego, boludo. La concha de mi madre, anda a armar esto. Hijo de puta, vos, anda a armar esto. Supuestamente tiene que quedar así. Sí, en mi culo va a quedar así. En mi culo va a quedar así. La concha de la madre, vos. Pero tengo que hacer un stream de 85 horas para armarlo. Hijo de puta, pero mirá todas las piezas que hay. Filio da puta, se fue a la merda todo. Voy a necesitar a alguien que me ayude a armar eso, boludo. Pa. Sí, al menos creo que no lo tengo que pintar. Creo. Sawa, no me insultes así.
Es que sos puta y no te fijas en lo que compras.
Yo pensé que me querías y que me dabas dinero. No me insultabas.
Head you like, but often you'll find specific arms go with a specific torso, and some hands or weapons only fit on specific right part of the sprue. Using your hobby snips or nail clippers.
Ah, tenés que cortarlo, no se desarma solo. Ay, voy a hacer cagada.
Carefully cut out the parts you need one by one. If you cut the model parts with the snips right against the piece, you might accidentally cut into the part. If you cut just a little bit further away, we can remove any rough bits later without damaging the model. Double check to make sure you've got all the bits you need.
Tenés que
cut into the part. If you cut just a little bit further away, we can remove any rough bits later without damaging the model. Double check to make sure you've got all the bits you need, and then we can spend a minute just making sure the pieces are nice and clean and looking their best. Using your sharp knife, carefully cut away any of the little sprue connection points that...
Ah, me voy a cortar un dedo. Me voy a cortar un dedo. Ya veo venir que me corto un dedo en directo. Me desangro.
might have been left behind on the model. It's better to cut away little by little than too much all at once, otherwise you might damage the model. You might also notice that the pieces of your model have a very fine line running all the way round. This is called a mould line, left over from when the two halves of the mould pressed together. This can really easily be removed using the back of your hobby knife. You don't need to use a lot of pressure, just gently scrape away at any really obvious mould lines, and your models will look much better when they're all painted up. After you've cleaned up...
Yo he armado muebles enteros, es entretenido, pero esto es enfermo.
Sí, muebles armado. Ese mueble que está atrás lo armé yo. Esto es una locura.
Your model and removed sprue connections, you might notice that some areas have these little white marks. This will be hidden when we prime and paint.
¿Cuánto por un hentai? Depende del tiempo de duración del hentai y el tipo de hentai.
So don't worry too much. Now it's time, and then can stay on this. Need a very tight squeeze to fit together properly, and glue them together. Obviously, it'll be like this. You've painted complicated models. For this demo though, I'm going to fully build this model, just so you can see that it's not the end of the world if you've glued everything together before you started painting.
Oh, it's pretty easy, like gluing it.
Claro, pone a un niño a hacerlo para que nos sintamos más down todavía.
Like, you just put it in the little holes and then you just like stuck it in.
Claro.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Now your model is all built and prepped. Now would be a good time to add some detail to the base before we prime and paint. There are loads of different options. Some bases already come with sculpted rocky look. On her Necron base, use feet by mixture is by apply a thin coat of PVA base until the surface is covered. After this is
¿Pero qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto?
dried, you can do it again to add even more texture to the surface and make it natural and uneven. And if any sand dried to the model's feet or legs, no problem. Just scratch them off with your paint, dirt and dust, and over time, I'm sure you'll find time to priming adds a thin paint. Now I never used to prime my Warhammer models, and I only realised what a big mistake this was when the paint on some of my older models started scratching and chipping off. Priming adds a thin layer of paint that sticks down on. Job you spray from a pizza box. It's free and it works.
Hi, yes, I need a locksmith. 3 hours.
Give your spray can a really good stream match that light is right and stick that balance how the it's there that just thinks and afraid. Kristen wanted to paint her Space Marine, wanted to
Be like,
rolled as up start effort on to make it work till the team is too pretty at didn't get them go with that your main colour. Before we applicated paint just for
¡Ah, qué pintura! Está, muchachos, yo creo que cagué. No voy a saber hacer esto, boludo.
this, slightly we added a bit of yellow start to paint on bristle. Sweeping your brush in an area really quick. You've only got painted some
dry brush. Really, it looked really cool when you put it on. Well, obviously it was 3D, but it looked like.
¿El Magnamon murió? No, no voy a saber hacerlo, boludo. Son demasiadas piezas. Además te dice acá... primero corte. Después unir... PC5 con B1.4 con B1.3, B2.8 con PC13 con B2.7, PC14, PC1, A2, A2, A2.4, PC4. CP, 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 sí, CP, CP, sí.
More real, kind of.
Now you've got a nice textured main colour on your model, let's go back to our standard brush and start blocking in the other colours we'll be using on the model. For the legs, torso and face of my Skatara, a little bit isn't simply to do with them. We can just use key breath to process that is out some colour, a little bit more like def for a little bit too. But if you're using the right colour shade paint, I think it makes it look. But because they're very fragile, they may break or flake off if you touch them too much. To make sure the transfer holds for years and years, you might want to add some stuff called matte medium over the top. This is basically painting for years, and I've painted a lot of models. But here's 15-year-old Kristen's Space Marine and 11-year-old Erin's Necron Warrior. Both of them are their very first painted models, and I think they did a fantastic job. If you look at the box art for your models, the fancy
Mira cómo quedaron las bases, boludo.
photos they use on the website or Instagram accounts of professional mini painters, it's easy to be put off when you're just getting into the hobby. Your paint jobs definitely won't look like these the very first time you try. And that's okay. Painting models is a skill you develop like any other. Playing an instrument, writing stories, playing a sport, the more you do it, the better you'll get. To show you what I mean, here are some pictures from our awesome Patreon members, showing their earliest models compared to their latest models, just so you can see how you really do improve over time. And while you check them out, I'd also quickly like to thank our newest Patreon members, Sean Mayan, James, Captain
Argentino antes de enfrentar a Arabia Saudita. Argentino después de enfrentar a Arabia Saudita. Muchachos, ¿vamos a ver Bleach? ¿Vamos a ver Bleach? ¿Vamos a ver Bleach? Que tengo ganas de ver Bleach. ¿Vamos a ver Bleach? Vamos a ver Bleach y seguimos mañana con Warhammer. Voy a ver Bleach. Nos vemos mañana, muchachos. Tengo muchas ganas de ver Bleach. Adiós. Mañana seguimos con Warhammer.